Hi and welcome back to Grade Guide. This revision video on genetics is directed towards students completing the Junior Cycle Science exam as part of the Irish curriculum. Based off the NCCA learning outcomes, 3 points we'll be covering in this video are understanding the meaning of a dominant or recessive gene. We'll also calculate the probability of offspring displaying certain traits based on their parents' genetics, and lastly track inheritance of certain traits through an individual's family tree. Before watching this video, make sure you've looked at our Part 1 video where we discussed the relationship between chromosomes, DNA and genes, and identified the number of chromosomes we have in our body cells and gametes. We also took note that each of us have 2 copies for all of our genes, meaning we have 2 genes for eye colour, hair colour, skin pigmentation and so forth. We left off our previous video by asking the following question. From looking at these 2 chromosomes on screen, we can see that this person has received 2 genes for eye colour. The mother passed on a brown-eyed gene, and the father passed on a blue-eyed gene. So what colour of eyes would this child have? This is where gene dominance comes into play. In humans, the brown-eyed gene is dominant over all other eye colours, so blue eyes are less dominant or recessive. A dominant gene stops a recessive gene from being activated or expressed. So because the child we've mentioned has received a brown and blue-eyed gene, it will end up having brown eyes because that brown-eyed gene is the dominant one. For your exams, you need to know how to calculate the probability of a child being born with certain genes. To do this, you need to know what the words allele and genotype mean. An allele is a variation of a certain gene. For example, brown eyes and green eyes are 2 alleles of eye colour. The dominant allele, which we know to be brown eyes, is signified with a capital letter. We use a capital B because the word brown begins with B. The recessive allele, green eyes, takes a lowercase letter b. A person's genotype are all the genes they possess. For eye colour, if a person carries 2 brown alleles, their genotype is represented by 2 capital letter Bs, and they'll express or show brown eyes. If they possess 1 brown and 1 green allele, we use a capital B and a small b to present their genotype, and because brown eyes are dominant, they'll express brown eyes. Finally, if they possess 2 green alleles, they have a genotype of 2 small b's and express green eyes. So knowing this, let's carry out a genetic cross. Take a brown-eyed female with a capital B small b genotype and a green-eyed male with a small b genotype. If they had a child, what's the possibility of their child having green eyes? Well, from looking at the female's genotype, she can pass on either the dominant allele she possesses or the recessive one in her egg cells. From looking at the male's genotype, he'll only pass on a recessive allele he possesses in his sperm cells. Next, we need to draw a grid called a Punnett square, and we insert the possible gametes from the male and female into the sections shown. We combine the 1 male allele with the 2 female alleles, leaving these 2 possible genotypes for a child. So to answer the question, if this male and female were to have a child, there's a 50% chance that it would have green eyes and a 50% chance it would have brown eyes. In another cross, this time consider a male and female both with brown eyes and both with the genotype of capital B and small b. What's the probability of their child having brown eyes? For both the male and female, their genotype can result in either a gamete with the dominant allele or a gamete with the recessive allele. Once again, we draw a Punnett square and insert the possible gametes from the male and female into the sections shown. We combine the dominant male allele with the 2 female alleles, and then the recessive male allele with the 2 female alleles, resulting in the genotypes shown. 3 of the 4 crosses result in a brown-eyed child, so this means there's a 75% chance that this male and female would produce a brown-eyed child, and a 25% chance of a green-eyed child. Finally, you need to be able to read and recognise a pedigree chart. A pedigree chart is like a family tree, but it tracks the inheritance of genes in a family. We'll begin with just 2 individuals. The colour white indicates that a person has straight hair, and red shows the person has curly hair. A square indicates a male, while a circle indicates the person is female. So out of the 2 individuals above, one is a male who has straight hair, the other is a female who has curly hair. The horizontal line linking these two tells us that they're a couple who have offspring. In total, they have 4 children, and we can tell that they are 2 males and 2 females, with 3 having curly hair and 1 having straight hair. Hair type can be tracked down to the 3rd generation, and out of these 3 grandchildren on the chart, 1 has curly hair and the other 2 have straight hair. What's interesting to note is that this female grandchild has straight hair even though both of her parents have curly hair. This proves that both of her parents are carriers of the straight hair gene, even though they don't express it. And this is why we say that traits can sometimes skip a generation. So that's it for this video on genetics. Make sure you're revised over each of these 3 points in preparation for your exams, and make sure you're familiar with each of these keywords you can see on the screen now. Thanks for watching this grade guide video. If you found this video helpful, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. Best of luck with your revision.